The restaurant conspiracy theory, the only conspiracy theory that has to do with restaurants, and this is the real deal. I want to find out where this conspiracy came from, but first I want you to answer a question, okay? If you can answer right in the comments, I'll send you $1,000, okay? Guess right and win $1,000, okay? The question is, what percentage of restaurants fail in the first year? Is it 40%, 50%, 60%, or 90%? Can you guess the right one? Because this is it, right? General consensus. I've been in the industry for 20 years, and this is what I've always been told. 40 to 60% of restaurants fail in the first year. Even this crazy number, 90% of restaurants have failed the first year, right? Well, first of all, it's a trick question, okay? I was just trying to get your attention, but now that I have your attention, I want you to know that this is all a lie. It's all a lie. That whole theory that restaurants fail, 40, 60% of restaurants fail in the first year, even 90% of restaurants fail in the first year is a complete myth. There's not even a scientific study. There's not even a fake scientific study. Literally nothing backing that up. You can search it all day long. There's no study, no data, nothing. What happened was Amex released a commercial way back in the day where a famous chef said that 9 out of 10 restaurants fail or 6 out of 10 restaurants fail. Just in the commercial in passing, it was literally a 3-second clip. That's where this myth came from. The real number that you want to pay attention to, this number right here, 19 to 24%. That's the real number of restaurant failures in the first year. Those are the most recent studies. There's multiple studies. They go between these two numbers, but 19 to 24% of restaurants fail in the first year. In fact, it's not even the riskiest business to be in. And this makes more sense, right? Because like I said, the last 20 years has been the same exact number, 60, 90%. These crazy numbers have never gone down. Yet, over the last 20 years, when I've been in the industry, it seems like more and more restaurants open at a faster pace. So if they have such a high failure rate, then why are more restaurants opening? Why would people be jumping into this business? It's because obviously that's not the failure rate. All right, so here's the real numbers that you have to worry about. That's it, right there. So year 1, 19 to 24% of restaurants fail. Year 3, 50% plus restaurants fail. So that's a big jump. 3 years, it's a huge, huge jump. This is the most crucial year for a restaurant. These are where restaurants fail. Yeah, it starts at year 3 and it goes to year 5. Those are the most dangerous years for restaurants. And the question is why? Why is that? Well, it's a myriad of reasons, but one of them, and one of the biggest reasons, the biggest contributors, statistically, is front of the house operations or lack of front of the house operations, misguided front of the house operations. Your guest retention is your lifeblood, okay? Year 1 through year 2, very important to start building that customer retention. Year 2, 40% of your business is predicated on guest retention. Year 3, 60%, and it only goes up from there. It's predicated on repeat business, okay? So that's how important guest retention is. And how do you get guest retention? It's guest experience, right? First of all, no matter what, you have to have a good product, not great, not cutting edge, good. You have to have a good product, good food, and good drinks, consistent. That's number 1. Once you have that figured out, the name of the game is guest experience. Guest experience, guest experience, guest experience. And just like the food, the guest experience has to be consistent. If it's not consistent, people won't come back. Now, consistency doesn't mean good and bad. Oh, I had a really good experience this time and a bad experience this time. I have to have a consistent experience, which means how the experience goes matters, right? When do we get the waters? When do they offer the waters? When do they ask for the appetizers? How do they ask for the appetizers? When do they drop off the bread? Do they ask for coffee when they ask for dessert? All those little things matter. People are coming in and subconsciously they need the experience to be exactly the same every single time. That's why the most successful restaurants in the world, the most successful restaurant groups in the world, and even the most successful businesses in the world offer hospitality as part of their experience, have an exact same experience every single time consistently. I guarantee you the restaurant you're thinking of right now in your head when you think of the gold standard has a consistent guest experience. When you walk in the first time, the 5th time, the 10th time, you're getting served the same exact way every single time with amazing hospitality, with people smiling, being professional, knowledgeable, and making the experience enjoyable. It has to be consistent all the way around. The little differences they will notice subconsciously and it'll make them not trust the brand. So a couple more statistics. 3 times a guest will have to visit your establishment before they build trust. 3 times. 3 times they come in, they get good food, good drinks consistently, and they get a great experience consistently. 3 times you've earned their trust, which means you've earned their loyalty, which means they'll start talking about you to their friends and family, spread the good word like wildfire, become marketing machines for your business. They'll also probably leave a good review or be willing to if you ask, which is going to bring you business and bring you money. And of course, they're going to keep coming back. When guests come back, they spend more money because they feel more comfortable, they trust the product, they'll spend more money. So that's the name of the game. So let me show you how to build your front of the house operations to maximize your guest retention. So this is how your front of the house operations should be structured to begin with. I can go on and on and on. I can create a 5-10 hour video about how to build your front of the house operations from top to bottom, but let's just start with the beginning. This is what you want to look at. So first of all, how do you get a consistent guest experience? How do you get your staff to give a consistent guest experience? How do you get your busser, your server, your bartender, your food runner, your host? How do you get them all to participate, to be motivated, to give them a high level, consistent guest experience? It doesn't matter what age group they are, it doesn't matter what education they are, it doesn't matter how much experience they have. How do we get everyone in the building bought in, trained up, and have that mindset to give people hospitality? Because first of all, hospitality and service are two different things. I'll go over that in another video, but hospitality is a mindset, okay? You cannot teach someone hospitality by giving them a 10-page document, telling them to study it, giving them a test. If they pass it, say congratulations, hospitable. It doesn't work that way. It works like this. We call it getting them to buy in. You have to get your staff to buy in. If you're serious about this, if you're serious about having a restaurant that gives the guests the best experience every single time, having the highest customer retention rate possible, this is how you do it, okay? So first of all, you have to make sure that when your employee comes in, you're training them the right way. Training them and supporting them the right way. They're an investment. You have to invest in them, nurture them, grow them, make them the best they can be. Not just expect them to walk in, you're paying them, do tasks, and I'll pay you and then leave, because that's how you get service. That's how you get very, very diminished results. And that's how you get inconsistent experiences. That's how you dramatically lower your customer retention rate and make it very hard to be profitable. This is the 30% rule. So first of all, onboarding. Onboarding, hiring process are two very important things. You have to tell them exactly your expectations, what you're expecting. You have to ask the right questions. You have to hire the right people. Hire for attitude, hire for willingness. Do not hire for experience. Experience is good a little bit, but that shouldn't be the deciding factor. That shouldn't be what you're going after. You should be going after people that are willing to learn, grow within your organization. So onboarding is important and hiring. But then training is everything, okay? Your trainer has to train the correct way. Your trainer needs to have a training guide for each position that shows them how to do their job, but also talks a lot about hospitality and getting them ready for that mindset. And then you have a roadmap for each day. What are they doing every single day? Mapped out, step by step, day by day. What does that look like? You have to have that mapped out and what it looks like to show them exactly what they'll be doing. The trainer has to have a roadmap for that day to show them how to teach. The trainee has to have it to see what they're learning and to remember. After each roadmap day, they have to have an assessment. Why would you move them to day 2 if you don't have an assessment to make sure they learned everything? If they didn't learn everything on day 1, then you can't move them to day 2. It needs to be progressive. The traditional way a restaurant trains, welcome to the team, that's Preston over there, he's been here for the longest, you're gonna go follow him around for the day. And then he followed me around, okay, so the coffee machine's over here, that's Brian, he works saute. Okay, when you do that, that's fine, but it's just kind of like a hodgepodge of training. There's no structure, there's no system, you don't know if they're learning the right things. They need to learn 100 things and they're only learning 40 because that's just the stuff they end up covering in those 5 days. Not strategic teaching, and you're not going to get the best results. Again, diminished results. On top of that, if they're training with 5 different people that way, that means you're training with people with 5 different styles, 5 different moods, 5 different attitudes, and then you're gonna learn from 5 different people, right? So you're gonna be doing something and all of a sudden the trainee's gonna say, oh, I thought Preston did it that way. Oh, yeah, whatever works for you, right? This is how I do it. Oh, so now the trainee thinks everything's optional. There's no rules, there's nothing important, everything is optional. And that's where it gets really messy. So we gotta focus on having roadmaps and then also having trained trainers. You in the onboarding process as a leader, set the expectations sky high and standards sky high. Now the trainer needs to uphold those. This is how we do things. There are no cutting corners. We do not show up late. We do work in a culture of excellence. Outside of that, have fun, enjoy yourselves, but stay inside the parameters. So when they go onboarding, they get their expectations sky high, and then when they go through training, their expectations sky high. Instead of, what usually happens is sky high in orientation, go to training, server comes in, drinks a coffee on his phone, starts teaching that trainee bad habits because why? They're not trained to train. So they're going to teach them bad habits, not maliciously, but just by accident, because they're gonna be doing their thing. They haven't been trained to not cut corners, to hold expectations sky high, to have a level of commitment of excellence, right? And to be properly motivated, which means that they're getting better sections, more an hour, free food, whatever it is. We can talk about that later, but they need to be properly motivated, of course. So we gotta go roadmap, assessment. So they're going through their training every day, a systemized, strategized training every single day, going through an assessment, and then doing it again until they finish their training with a trained trainer. Throughout the whole process, the trainer's putting in his KPIs at the end of the night. The leader can see that they're getting the job done, or if they're not, find out why they're not. And that way, the leader, when someone gets hired, all you have to do is manage the KPIs, the trainer, just manage the system that we built for you. It's that simple. Now they're getting high-level training just because you put the right systems and strategies in place. You did the front work ahead. Now you're creating soldiers instead of creating headaches. Big difference, okay? So after you get done with the training roadmaps and done with the trainer, the leader will offboard the new trainee, meaning that if they're a server, for example, they'll serve the manager and a manager meal. The manager will sit down, the trainee serves them, right? If it's a host, different ways of doing that, different ways of executing that, then the leader's gonna have a conversation with that trainee. By the way, if you need anything, let us know. We are a culture of excellence. You will get held accountable. Those are really important things. Outside of that, have fun, enjoy yourself. You're gonna make money. You're gonna work with a lot of pride, and you're gonna work with a lot of people that take their jobs serious, and you're gonna enjoy yourself, okay? But you wanna get them motivated for that stuff. So after they get trained, this is where the real magic happens. And now again, this is all a 2, 3, 4 hour session. I'm just gonna breeze through it really quick. But after they get done with their training, this is where you start getting that consistency, right? You start getting those people that are getting bought in, because you already have them bought in right here. You just put them through a meticulous, organized, streamlined training process that makes them feel like, wow, they know what they're doing. Wow, I'm proud to be here. Wow, I'm gonna learn so much. I'm already growing. I feel like I'm being challenged. So they think that this is great, right? So now they're already bought in. They already have trust with leadership. You got them a little bit bought in, and now you're gonna keep them bought in here. Imagine if they come in, there's no orientation. They walk in, they don't know who to talk to. They talk to a couple people. Oh, I guess you're training with Preston. Preston just kind of rummages around. By the time you get out here, you don't really know the menu, you don't really know the computer. You're not too sure about the table numbers. What do you feel like then? You're not gonna be bought in. You're not gonna have trust. You're gonna be looking for the exit. Because you're gonna be like, what did I get myself into? That was a mess. No one likes that. So once they get done with the training, then we get to here. Advanced leadership. That means the leadership is trained to support the training and systems that we created. The systems that we build out here outside the training to make sure they keep up doing the things that we train them to do. Advanced leadership is doing that, and they're motivating. High-level systems will be in place. High-level systems built around this. They get trained to do these tasks. Now we have high-level systems to create the structure so they know exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. We're just giving them the tools and asking them to execute it versus saying, you figure it out and good luck, and if you don't do a good job, we're gonna get mad at you. And that takes 3 things: implement correctly, manage, and measure, okay? Down here we have the accountability ladder, right? We have to have an accountability ladder attached to everything. If there's no accountability, there's no leadership. And finally, we have ongoing training. The training does not stop here. You cannot train someone to be a good server, bartender, host, whatever. You cannot master that in 14 days, 10 days, 20 days, whatever your training regimen is, whatever days you have. You cannot train someone to be a master at their job in that time. You can get them ready to be on the floor, but then you have to go to ongoing training to slowly master them in a 3-month, 6-month period. So they master the wines, they master the alcohol, master the food, and then you can talk about upselling properly, because if they know the menu inside out, the wines inside out, they're gonna be able to upsell at a really high level, especially when you give them strategies like I can show you how to do. And a big part of ongoing training is pre-shifts or briefings. We're doing those every single day, and we're utilizing it as a learning tool, not an information tool. A lot of restaurants use it as an information tool. Okay, here's a piece of paper with the covers and the parties. There's a birthday, we're 86. That's all information. I can hand you a piece of paper and give you that. You can figure it out on your own. We want to use it as a learning tool. How are we developing our staff and nurturing our staff and growing our staff with pre-shifts? Staggered in times are not a reason not to do pre-shifts, okay? You have to do pre-shifts even if it's staggered time. Pull everyone aside. You have 5 people coming in 5 different times to 5 different groups. You're gonna have 5 different pre-shifts to do. And that's part of management. That's part of leadership. That's part of growing and nurturing your team, investing time and effort into your team. What holds us all together is consistency. Everything here has to be consistent. Everything here has to be consistent. Now, this is just the beginning, but if you're serious about being consistent, about elevating your brand to the highest level that it can possibly go to not fall victim to year 3, year 4, year 5, you have to have all this mapped out, and you have to have all this executed at a high level. Great ambiance, great food is only gonna take you so far. Before the guest experience, no matter what, being inconsistent will slowly start eating away the business 1 step at a time. So pay attention.